good, chat? What's good, chat? It's your boy Pree. It's your boy White Pree, and we about to go over my 1 hour. We're about to go over my 1 hour orb strategy. Okay, so we're about to go over my 1 hour orb strategy. Let me go ahead and remove these some of these lines right here, these markups. Okay, so if we're looking at yesterday, we're looking at Tuesday, Mondays. We're looking at Monday's opening for Asian session, right? Okay. So let's find our 6 p.m. candle. First thing you want to do is find your 6 p.m. candle on opening, which is right here on the hourly. Then you get up two lines, one for the high, one for the low. Okay, once you got your two lines up, one for the high, one for the low, your low is gonna be your support. Change that to green, and your high is gonna be your resistance. Change that to red. Now, I like to personally wait for a breakout on the hourly or the 15-minute before the real move happens. Right? I like to wait for a 15-minute confirmation or an hourly confirmation for that breakout. Now, you can also catch the move earlier on if you're paying attention to the 5-minute and the 15-minute. So let's go down to the 5-minute here. If we go down to the 5-minute here, we can see that we open here. We got our low, we got our high. Now, once we start pushing back, we made a new form of resistance right here. Right? A new form of resistance right there. Now, with that being said, noticing this new form of resistance, you guys, we could have took a sell here, back down to our low, stop loss right above the highest wick in this consolidation. Okay, same thing again. Once we hit the low here, and this is why I say I pay attention to the 15-minute and the 1 hour for confirmation of breakouts, because yeah, we had a breakout on the 5-minute, but if we check the 15, we did have the breakout, but we came right back into the zone, which you can see that, which it happened twice. You can see that on the 5 though. You can see that a little bit better on the 5. That's the wrong one. Okay, you can see that on the 5 here. Strong candle back into the zone, push back up, formed another higher low here. And if you was paying attention, you could have scalped it again for another move there. Or if you wanted to take it a little bit lower to this equal wick down here, you just had to wait it out a little bit and catch some more profits. So that's 2 sell opportunities right there you could have caught in between the zone. Then we had a double tap down here. Me and Slime like to call this a double tap. Slime like to call it a drunken W, whichever one you want to pay attention to, okay? Now, once you see this happens and we get a pullback into our zone, and then we get a retest and we double tap and don't break, then we can expect to go back up. And we got our indication here on our 5-minute, right? Back into our zone, we got our retest, and then we got the move. So if you were paying attention, you could have caught these longs here back to this resistance high. And if we check the 15, we can see how that played out as some wicks. That was just some wicks on the 15. So we can see we got that break of the 15, came back again just like previous. We got our retest, another retest that didn't break, just some wicks, and then the move. So if you were paying attention to the 5-minute for your entry, you could have caught it at the very bottom where it double tapped this zone. This area, or you could have waited until it got back into the zone, which I like to wait till it gets back into the zone. It's a little bit more safer. And then take it, back to these highs up here. So that would have been your buy opportunity there. And then again, because we're still not breaking this resistance, here. Once you see a strong candle, engulfing candle, engulf like 2 or 3 candles on that 5 minute, then you can obviously tell it's going back down to the downside or the opposite direction. So after this buy, you could have caught a sell here, back down to these lows, or even back down to the zone. Right now, if you missed this entry here, it came back and gave you another entry here. So it's really just depending on you and when you see it and how you see it. So here you could have got more profits. You could have played it to the bottom of the zone, or you could have played it to the bottom of these candles, previous levels, right? And you would have made profit regardless, or you could have took it down to maybe another level that you might have marked up on your chart, or you might see something. Let me see. It didn't come back down here. Or if you're paying attention, you could take it to this wick or somewhere down here. Right? But regardless, you could have took it down here for some profits. Okay. So once we had that, right, now this is our valid breakout right here. We had our breakout because we had these small breakouts and we got our pullbacks, and then we broke this structure of support on this drop, right? So now this is the major pullback. And again, if you were paying attention on the 5 minute, once we tap here, start getting some wicks, then made a drop here, and then we engulf this candle and all these candles, that's your indication for buys. So you could have got in here for buys, stop loss under these wicks, and buy it back to the top of this resistance right here, and you would have been Gucci. Or if you wanted to play it safe, wait till it gets back into the zone on the 5 minute. Okay, you can see once it broke the zone here, it gave us a few little rejections here, a few little wicks. You could have got in somewhere here. So entry could have been, somewhere like that, back to these highs, if we're playing the zone. And then, stop loss like under this candle or this candle, depending on where you got in. Okay, and that's all in between the zone. We still haven't got the real move yet, so we're still playing in between the zone, and we still haven't gotten the real move yet. So in between that zone, we could have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades in. All for, let me see, this one was 15 ticks, 15 ticks, 16 ticks, 18 ticks, 18 ticks. So you could have played all of these for 15 ticks. So on a standard, that's 1,500 for 15 ticks. So that's 5 times 15. Do the math. That's a lot of money. And we're still in the zone. Okay. Now that's from Asian session all the way to London session. We still haven't broke through the zone. We still haven't broke this resistance. Now if you'd have woke up in New York session and noticed that we still haven't broke this resistance and we're coming down, right? Let's play another short. You could have gotten an entry here or here, depending on where you caught the market, right? But let's say here. And then play it back down to these wicks, right? Because obviously this time it has to break the zone. Now, I was in this trade yesterday, and I seen Dane on live, and I told him it was gonna go to 39.60 because I was in this. I had a level marked up with this old fair value gap right here for 39.60. So I had that marked up as my TP, so I knew it was gonna go down there. Right? You could have played that stop loss right above these wicks and Gucci, just like that. All right, so now we finally got that move. We finally got the breakout move, right? This is your indication. So again, if you want to look at it like this, we can go sell indication or sell indicator, right? We can go sell indicator, boom, and then we can go sell break, right? And then we can go sell retest and entry. My bad if the screen switch. Okay, so we could go sell, retest, and entry here. So these breaks right here was our indication that we're gonna have a sell move, right? But until we get that confirmation of break right here, we don't wait too long. We don't hold ourselves too long. We just keep playing the zone. So we had our sell indication within the first 7:15, and then we had another one at 9, a pullback. Then we got our sell break around 12 to 1, right? Then another pullback back into New York session. We could see our sell, retest, and entry here, which gave us the move during New York session. Okay, so that's how you'd use the 1 hour on Monday. So these were the moves you could have caught on Monday night to Monday morning New York session. Okay, cool. So we finally got the move, right? We hit some support down here and we pulled back. Now, for the continuation, and this is what I like to see for the continuation of the sell or the buy once we break out of the zone, right? Once we break out of the zone, this is exactly what I want to see for a continuation. And where the fuck is the, okay. This is exactly what I want to see for a continuation. A pullback, a rejection off the zone, and then continue. Okay? So that right there lets me know this is a valid breakout move. Okay? So this is what we want to see. Anytime we break out either side, for the breakout and the move to be valid, we need to, or not even, okay, let me rephrase that. Anytime we get a breakout right here, and we get our pullback and we get our move, for the continuation to be valid, we need to get a retest back to our zone or somewhere close to our zone, and then reject it and continue down. So this is a valid continuation here. Okay, we can see that on the 1 hour. That's a valid continuation right there. So anytime you looking for a continuation after the move, wait for that retest to pull back to that zone and react off the zone. So just like if we would have got a break to the highs, right? We want to see a break to the high, then pull back to the top of our zone, or somewhere in between our zone, and then continue. So we want to see something like this, like that, and then continue, right? That would be a valid continuation. So just like this, we had our move, we had our pullback, and then we had our continuation. Okay, so that's a valid continuation there. All right, cool. So let's go back to the 15. All right, now if you were watching this still again in New York session, right? We had our drop at 9:30. We pull back all the way up here around 12, and then we start falling again around 12. So if you was paying attention, you could have caught this continuation move back down to this low here, and you would have made profit. Well, market would have closed you out before you made, but regardless, you would have made profit. Right? Stop loss just above these wicks, just like that. Right? And this is all Mondays. This is all Monday night. Yeah, that's all Monday going into Tuesday morning. Okay. That's all, I mean, not going into Tuesday. I said going, yeah. This is all Monday, Asian, London, going into New York, and then we have our Tuesday down here. So now Tuesday is the same thing, right? We have our opening. Let's go to the hour. Let's go to the hour. Let's go to the hour. Okay, cool. We have our opening candle here at 6 p.m. We got our highs and our lows marked up. Now let's go back to the 15. Right, on the 15, we can see this is where we closed Monday, and we opened here Tuesday afternoon. Right, pushed up, gave us our high, consolidated a little bit in here. Right, pushed down, gave us our low. Right, came back, gave us our high, tapped our high again, and didn't break, and then we pushed down. So if you were paying attention to this on the 5-minute, you could have scalped these previous moves that happened in between the zone before we had our major move to the upside. So if you was paying attention to the 5-minute, you can see consolidated here, right? But we're rejecting these highs right here. So once we made this drop and came back, pulled back here, and rejected again, you could have scalped it quick. Now on this scalp, I would say go for this wick right here, because at this point we haven't made our low yet. We haven't made our low yet, so we don't know how far. We don't know how far the market's gonna pull back. Right, so we'll go target this wick right here, and you'd have made a quick four to five ticks scalp. Okay, so once we made our low, we didn't break the low, then we start pushing back. Again, if you were on a 5-minute and you see this move, you can scalp this back to our high, because we already have our high. So that's another 6 ticks right there. Right, and again, when we got to our high, we didn't break our high. We didn't get a 15-minute confirmation break on our high. We did not get a confirmation break 15-minute on our high, because the 15-minute is just wicks. If you look at the 5-minute, the 5-minute is going to show you some breaks. Yes, right? This is some breaks. But on the 15-minute, it's just wicks. So once you see that on a 15-minute and it's wicking, or on a 5 and you see this large candle, these large candles engulfing these other 2 candles, then you can take these cells back down to the zone. And again, we got back down to the zone. We did not break the bottom of the zone, right? Only wicked it. You can see it on the 15-minute as well, right? We only wicked it, and then you could have took these buys back to the top of the zone, or even played it to the top of these wicks for some more profits. Okay, then we finally got our breakout on our 15-minute. Right, we finally got our breakout on our 15-minute. So if we want, we could take these and I'll show you how to kind of use these to identify what's a break, what's an indication, and what's the actual retest in the move. So on the 15, our break is right here. This is our break on our 15. Okay, on the 5-minute, our buy indication. Let me change these so I don't get confused. Let me turn them green too. Okay, so right on the 5-minute. Okay, so on the 5-minute, this would be our buy indication here. Right, on the 5-minute, this would be our buy indication. Because on the 5-minute, we broke above the top of the zone, so that would be our buy indication. All we have to do is wait for the retest, the pullback, and then continue get that break, right? So you can see it on the 5-minute as well, where we got this break here, right? Indication highs, we got our break highs, right? Okay, again, all we gotta do is wait. So now this is double confirmation. So we got our indication for buys, so we're looking for buys. We got our pullback. We could have took this to the top of the zone. That's cool, but we're waiting for the real move, right? Then we get the buy break. So now once we get this break, we say, okay, on the next pullback, that's when the real move is going to happen. Okay, so then if you look here, this is your pullback and your entry as well for the real move. Okay, so we got our indication, we got our break, and then we got our retest and entry. And you can all see this on the 15-minute as well. And so we got our indication on the 5-minute, we got our break on the 15, right? We got our break on the 15 here. And then we got our retest and entry on the 5 and the 15, however, wherever you was looking at it. And you can take it back to the bottom of our previous 1-hour zone if you still have it marked up. And that's how I would TP. Or if you didn't have it marked up, you can TP at the top of this reversal here. So if you want to go wick or body, it doesn't matter. That's still a great move for 37 plus pips, or about 43 plus pips, so 4,000, 3,000, depending on if you're in a standard or MGC, right? And that's just how you use the 1-hour strategy. And then after that, you're really just paying attention to what happens between the zones. So like even now that we're watching the market and we see that we pushed up here and we had a rejection back down to the middle here, and we push back up again, double tap it, and we're getting another rejection. So what is this telling me? This is telling me that the market is not ready to break back into this 1-hour zone from yesterday, right? And most likely wants to continue going down, right? So, and you can also see a M pattern being formed right here. It's a clear M pattern being formed. Clear M pattern. Right? So just patience. You see this setup. You can either get in, off impulse, or you can go down on a lower time frame and set up some type of break line. So like, if you want this wick is kind of late, but set up some type of break line, maybe like under these candle bodies right here, and then wait for it to break below that. Have your stop loss above the previous wick highs, and then just wait for the market to play out. Because even though we're showing an M and we see a double tap rejection, we could still hold support here like we did here in the previous and continue to push back up. So you gotta wait for that confirmation again. Or if you really paying attention, like how I just spot this little support area, okay, I would wait till we break here, which is basically that wick, right? And then take it down to the downside, either to the top of this zone or to complete the full M, we could take it to the bottom of the zone. And if you stay on the 5 and the 15 minute to find your entries and try to play it inside of the zone, you can always finish with your daily profit, daily target sometimes before 9 o'clock, sometimes before 10 o'clock. Because if you'd have gotten on this scalp right here on, let's say, a standard, that's 1500 before 8 o'clock. Feel me? Then you'd have got in here on another standard for another 15 ticks. That's before 9 o'clock, so that's 3,000 right there if you got it on standard. And then if you'd have got in here on the buy for another 16 ticks, that's before 11 o'clock. So you had 3 to 4 trades you could have got in before 12 o'clock that would have made you over $1,000. Just off of playing inside of the zone. Just off of playing inside of the zone. And that, my friends, is how you use the 1 hour orb strategy by Pree himself. Appreciate all the swipers for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for coming through the lives, supporting the lives. We appreciate everything. You know what I'm saying? That's why we always got to give back, and we don't ask for anything. We don't sell any courses or anything like that. But I'm going to catch y'all later.